Hey, John, good to talk to you again this week. How are you doing?
Oh, doing well. How are yours? Are you?
Pretty good. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Vancouver.
That's great.
Yeah.
Get outside, avoid the COVID.
Yeah, always be safe, right? Let's talk about some financial news.
Are you buying Coinbase? Or what's going on there?
Absolutely. Yeah, I put in several orders throughout the IPO day. I never buy IPO stocks, so this was kind of I would say
First
it's a
time.
mistake on my part. Yeah. It's not my first time buying an IPO, but I rarely do it. Like I tried to get in on the Airbnb IPO and it never came down to my price target.
Mhm.
But I think Coinbase, they're the biggest name in crypto trading right now. They have a large potential market size and they are, they're a big name and they have a lot of revenue and they're actually really profitable right now. So I think it's a good opportunity to get in. If you got in early, you kind of got hosed a little bit. Like some people bought well over 400 and then it came back down. I believe the high it reached was like 425 and then it just sank throughout the day. And yeah, I started buying at like 400 and then it went up and I was like, okay, I'm done. And then it started coming down. I was like, oh, maybe I should average down a little bit. And like I think the lowest I got it at was like 306 or something like that. So my average was around 350. So
that's
I'm
not
about
bad.
I'm about break even right now, but
Mhm.
hopefully, I mean, it's a long-term buy for me, so I'm not too worried about it. But I saw a lot of people who were freaking out because they bought at those high numbers and now they're down quite a bit. So
Yeah, it kind of shows why you don't want to go all in at one time,
yeah.
But
it's good to average in over time. I think it just gives you an opportunity. Like I saw some research that showed that lump sum investing is actually better than dollar cost averaging, but I'm skeptical of that because I think the idea was that if you have a lump sum, you may as well put it in the market. But most people don't just have a whole bunch of money sitting around waiting to invest. Usually, you invest with each paycheck, and I think the best opportunity to make sure that you're not going and blowing that money is to have a portion of your paycheck accounted for that, hey, this money is going to go into my investment account.
Yeah, I always tend to scale into my positions. Like I'll just buy a certain amount over 6 months or something, and I find you always get a better average price. And every time I've bought all at one time, it just hasn't worked out for me. But for Coinbase, I think
strategy, yeah,
it's pretty exciting.
Is always to, sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like Coinbase is pretty exciting because it's finally we're getting a profitable IPO, and the revenue growth is insane, like 50%, over 50% from 2019 to 2020. And for me, this is like the best pure play crypto company you can buy without actually owning the underlying assets, right? So, and the valuation. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the valuation? I didn't think it looks like it's not cheap, but it's not crazy expensive. I'm showing price to sales at 18.5, forward price sales at 9.2.
Yeah, I think their P/E is like, I think it was like 35 or 40, which is very low for a high growth company. Like they grew 100% year over year. And I mean, obviously Bitcoin grew 200% or more year over year. So it's like, it's very, the valuation of Coinbase is very tied to the price of Bitcoin because that's their largest, I guess, asset and their largest thing that's traded on their platform.
Right. Provides the greatest amount of volume.
Yeah. But you got to look and see what your friend Cathie Wood said on there. She said that Coinbase
what did she say?
She bought a ton of Coinbase. They bought on the first day and on the second day. I think they bought, like, I'm gonna look this up, but I'm pretty sure they bought close to $1 billion of Coinbase, like in total. So
oh wow,
it was a lot. Let me just I'm gonna bring up my screen here because I don't want to lie. Let's see. How do I do this without killing this session? Okay. Kath, let's see, ARK Coinbase.
Yeah, I heard various numbers. I heard it was like 250 million on day one, and then I thought it was 100 million on day two. But she might have done more than that. It's hard because you got to add up all the funds too.
Okay, so it was $250 million, 246 million. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's quite
Still a lot of money.
Not a billion, so correct me, I don't want to be wrong there, but they put a lot of money into it. But anyway, she was saying that Coinbase is going to be extremely volatile for a long time, so if you're not prepared to deal with that, you better not get into this.
Yeah, I think I was kind of thinking about that. Like, if you want to have the volatility and you don't want to actually own any Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like that, a safer way to kind of play the crypto trade is just buy some PayPal and Square, because they're facilitating payments. They're going to get more and more involved kind of in the space, I think. So get a bit of exposure.
Or Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla too. But I know the PayPal CEO recently said that they think they could reach $200 million worth of volume within months in crypto. So they're seeing quite a bit of cryptocurrency growth. And with PayPal too, you get 375 million active customers. They have their digital wallets, which is growing. So I think North America is a little behind on the digital wallets. So I think there's tons of growth there when you compare to like us compared to China and other Asian countries.
The digital wallets are a big thing, and I'm a little hesitant on cryptocurrencies. So on some digital wallets right now, like for example, on Wealthsimple, you can buy crypto. You could buy you can buy Bitcoin and you can buy Ethereum. Those are the only two cryptos I think they have on there right now. Mm-hmm. But you don't have access to the wallet. Like you're basically just you can only hodl, which is what I do anyway. So I bought some current crypto on there because it's really cheap compared to everywhere else. But you don't have your secure wallet or anything like that, so you can't transfer them out. You can't do anything with it. Like all you can do is buy and sell.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. And then you're sort of defeats the purpose, right? Because you're holding it on their exchange. So
yeah, it's almost like holding, it's even worse than holding digital gold, because you're holding a virtual asset that you can't even, like literally all you're doing is buying in the hope that it goes up, because you can't do anything with it. Like at least with Bitcoin, if you buy it in like a Coinbase wallet or in another program like Binance or whatever you use, if you actually have the private key, you can transfer it out whenever you want. But with Wealthsimple, as far as I know, there's actually no way to transfer your crypto out, which is, I hope they add that in the future, because I think that's a huge missing feature right now.
Yeah, for sure. So you're on board with PayPal and Square overall, or?
Yeah, I do have some investment in Square. PayPal, I've had a lot of dealings with them in business, and I don't like some of their business practices. Like our company used them for a long time. But yeah, no, I think they're a good company, and obviously like Elon Musk helped to found them, so they have some good pieces of their company. I don't know if you saw, but eBay recently stopped using PayPal for transactions.
Oh wow!
That's an interesting.
I did not see that.
Yeah, all the payments on eBay now go through eBay's own platform, so PayPal's not doing the payments processing for eBay. I don't know how big of a percentage of their revenue that was. Mm-hmm. I'm hesitant to like get too much interest in these companies that are heavily crypto focused, because I have cryptocurrency, so I don't want to like
be overexposed.
Yeah, be overexposed, because my portfolio is pretty heavy on Tesla, and it's also quite heavy on crypto. So I don't necessarily need exposure to crypto from. Also, I do have some of the crypto ETF, because I just bought some because I thought it would be good to have the Bitcoin Canada ETF in there and see what it does.
Oh, nice! That's that new Canadian ETF. It's like the first crypto ETF in the world, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the first one in the maybe it is. I have no idea, but it's before the U.S. Crypto ETFs are illegal in the U.S., so
That's cool.
it's kind of
And you're also
out in my portfolio.
are you buying crypto coins too, or are you just mining, or a bit of both? Or
Yeah, I do both. I buy I buy whenever it goes down. I haven't bought any for a while because it's just been rocketing lately.
right?
But I have, I don't know, not that much. It's probably like 10% of my portfolio in
Okay.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then obviously I've got my miner running and my GPU mining every day, which generates like, I don't know, it's probably like $200 a month. It's not that much, but still
pretty
cool to
good.
have it going. Yeah.
I think, well, depending where you're located and power prices and all that, but if you're somewhere where power isn't crazy, I think mining makes sense. It's just getting the computer components.
Yeah, like it's impossible to buy a GPU these days.
Yeah, it sucks. I tried the other day. It didn't go so well. Basically told me to take a hike, but it's okay. I'll just keep trying.
Yeah, did you tell them, or like, I'm not a crypto miner, I'm a gamer?
Yeah, no, I said it was for work, and I was trying to do an ITX build, so the small form factor. So I'm like, what miner would build a ITX?
Yeah, no,
hoping
that's
they'd give
not
me one,
good.
but it was worth a shot. I might try again.
Yeah, I'd like to get one of those new graphics cards because they look pretty awesome. Like I have a 2070 and it works really well, but
Yeah, that's a nice card.
I want to see what like a 3080 or a 3090 can push out.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because the 3070 I think performs just as good as the 2080.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. So
yeah,
the AMD cards are pretty decent too. They're getting better, or they're like a legit competitor. But
yeah, what do you think of Apple's chances in the graphics space? Like, do you think they're going to have any sort of competition with Windows in the future? Do you think they're going to start? Like, I hope they make their own like really solid graphics architecture for
right.
for the M1 kind of, the in-house built CPUs and GPUs. Like that would be awesome to have like a third player in that, because you've got NVIDIA and AMD, and then there's really nobody else who's doing graphics cards right now.
Yeah, I thought Intel was talking about doing some graphics cards.
Oh yeah, they always talk about it, and then they have their integrated graphics, and
yeah,
I don't know, they haven't made anything competitive yet, but I just want to see, like, the fact that the market is so like there's so much demand right now and no supply. Like this is the perfect opportunity for a new company to come up and like pump supply into the market, make a ton of profit, and then hopefully, consumers are getting screwed over right now because we literally can't buy these products because there's not enough of them. Like I don't understand why there isn't. Well, maybe there are people out there, like if you're a burgeoning entrepreneur and you have access to manufacturing capacity in the tech space, like please make some awesome GPUs that I can buy.
Yeah, I think well, the initial results of the Apple M1 I think were pretty good. Like it's kind of integrated graphics, but I think it performed really well from the reviews I've seen.
Yeah, it's good for integrated graphics, but like the GPU on like the MacBook Pro 16-inch, like the discrete GPU, it still outperforms the integrated GPU on the M1s.
Right, but
like if you get the higher end ones, but it's like it's better than the integrated GPU on any of the Windows laptops. So
exactly, but I think they'll have to do like a dedicated discrete GPU eventually, because there's talk about the Apple Mac Pro coming out, and the processors are just such beasts. Like they have to pair it with a GPU, and I don't know if they would be able to do it with an AMD one. The
rumors that I've seen are that Well, there's a couple. So NVIDIA announced that they're building an ARM-based GPU platform. So maybe Apple partners with NVIDIA again, but I don't know if I see that happening because they had a big spat with NVIDIA a few years ago and stopped using NVIDIA cards. The other one is that, so this next generation of Apple hardware that's coming out on April 20th is not going to have discrete GPUs, but the next generation may, and they might be actually designed in-house by Apple. So that would be cool.
Oh, I hope they do. I don't know. I'm biased. I'm an Apple guy, but I just think the M1 is just really impressive. I can't wait to see the future stuff and the way they optimize things. I think it's going to drive a lot of competition for AMD and Intel on the x86 side. So I'm super excited.
Absolutely. Like I saw that. So Intel has no plans in their roadmap to build an ARM-based processor. AMD is building some ARM-based processors, and NVIDIA is as well. So
yeah, and NVIDIA is trying to buy ARM.
Yeah, the company, NVIDIA is trying to buy ARM. I wonder if that will affect Apple. Like if they're gonna try to then have to license ARM from NVIDIA, that would be
they will.
Brutal. Yeah,
I think they will have to if the acquisition goes through. I think there's a lot of skepticism. It might get blocked by regulators, but man, if NVIDIA gets ARM, I'm super bullish on that stock. Like they are gonna print money.
Yeah, that would be.
Well, they already do print money.
Like the future of computing is obviously ARM because, like, Intel's been lagging behind so badly, and they're just not doing anything. And it seems like, everything that we have now is all about power efficiency and like really high performance using low power. And if the RISC instruction set, so like the reduced I think it's just reduced instruction set or whatever that ARM uses is a lot more power efficient compared to x86, which uses like a advanced. So like the difference between ARM and x86 is that ARM chips have a reduced instruction set, so they can only do so many different calculations, but in doing that, they enable way higher power efficiency. And you can always put those calculations together in a certain way to mimic the larger instruction set. So it's not like they're actually limited. It's just that you have to design it more cleverly, I guess. And that's what Apple's been able to do. And, we've seen it in mobile. Like the phones these days are incredible. Like the kind of performance that they have. I haven't experienced a lag on an iPhone in like 10 years. Like you just never see it.
And the iPads too, hey? Like they're just unreal. Yeah.
They're so fast. Like everything runs like butter. I can't wait to get an M1X computer. Like if I could get the iMac or a new MacBook Pro or something like that. I'm really excited for that because Intel is it's buggy and like it's just annoying. Like you always get like crashes, and then you have to restart your computer every now and then because it just stops working properly. It's like there's no reason for this in 2021. Like we have the iPhone. Like my iPhone has never crashed, and my iPad has never crashed. So it's like it obviously can be done.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're on the same page there. I know there's been some excitement around Intel with their new CEO coming in and stuff like that, and they announced that they're going to start manufacturing in the US. But I mean, that's years away. AMD is so far ahead of them. Like Intel's still on 14 nanometer process. AMD's on a 7. In 2022, they'll be launching, I think, 5 nanometer chips. So AMD is pushing the envelope. Their GPUs are better. And then I think Intel stock got hit this week because
Apple's already on 5 nanometer, aren't they? Like their current generation, I'm pretty sure the M1 is a 5 nanometer processor.
Yeah, I think that the ARM stuff just is on a smaller process to begin with. But AMD's doing the 5 nanometer x86, and then NVIDIA announced that they're going to try to get into the data center, which is Intel's bread and butter. So yeah, I think Intel's got some problems. Personally, I would stay away from Intel and lean towards NVIDIA, maybe a little AMD. I think I really like the AMD CEO, Lisa Su. I think she's awesome. So I think you could, I don't know what your thoughts are on those names, but.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if Intel takes a big enough hit, I could actually look at it because they probably have some good minds there to be able to, they've led the industry for a long time and just now they're starting to kind of get out of it. Obviously, it took AMD a really long time after they were passed. I think it's been over a decade ago, but now they're back again. So I feel like this industry goes in kind of ebbs and flows, and if Intel really crashes and burns, I don't think they'll be gone. I think they'll just, kind of maybe have an opportunity to retool and come back later.
Oh yeah, I think they'll come back. I just think it'll be long, long road for them.
Might be like 10 years out or something like that. I think their their pipeline is long. Like they have 5 and 10 year plans for what they're doing, and I think they're going to have to completely scrap their existing pipeline and figure out that realize that the path that they're on isn't going to work.
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to ask you about this, kind of in the EV space, but did you see that Goldman Sachs report where they're calling copper the new oil?
Yeah, I saw the headline. I didn't read the report itself, but I mean, sure. I think I think it's really important to have the raw materials available to make electric vehicles, and I think copper's, extremely important. There actually there's a ton of uses for copper. Like for example, in applications that are for antimicrobial purposes, so you can actually put copper on a doorknob and it will kill 99.99 something percent of all the bacteria and viruses that touch it.
Oh wow.
So if you use, so the new hospital that's being built in Vancouver here is going to use 100% copper door handles because they're antimicrobial. It's something so obvious that could have been done 100 years ago, but nobody ever thought to do it. And now I'm like, well, in this day and age, that seems like a good, thing to look at. I've known about it for a long time. I was like, why would they never do this? I guess it's because copper is kind of quite valuable and maybe expensive.
Yeah.
People literally break into houses and tear out the copper wiring because they can sell it. So,
yeah,
it does have that issue, but.
Well, Goldman Sachs is saying in their bull case, copper usage is going to go up 900% by 2030. And their slower demand case is 600%. So yeah, and then just kind of the fact that obviously the electric vehicles use a lot of copper. You need a lot of copper to kind of get the grid reinforced, those kind of things. So and then just the lead time putting on a copper mine isn't the easiest thing in the world. So I don't know if you're looking at any kind of mining stocks. Mining's tough, I find, to invest in sometimes, but the only one I kind of know of that I like is First Quantum. You heard of that company?
First Quantum. No, I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, they have a decent amount of copper production kind of spread out over the world, and I think they got some nickel. They're smaller cap. It's a Canadian company. Might be dual listed though.
$6.80 per pound by 2025. Right now it's $4.17 per pound. That's not that huge of an increase.
Yeah, well, the pricing though is going to go through the roof. It already is, I think, basically through the roof.
Yeah, but I'm just saying their target in that article that you're talking about was $6.80 per pound by 2025. So that's 4 years out. Right now, copper futures are $4.17 per pound. So, I mean, that's what, $2.60 basically, $2.63% or 63-cent delta, which is what, like that's basically, is that 50% more expensive? Not even.
Yeah, I mean,
over 4 years, like it's a decent return, but it's not like if they're like, oh, the price of copper is gonna 5x in the next couple of years. That would be crazy. But this is like kind of obvious. Like if it's gonna be used a lot more, and I guess if they're not mining, I mean, the company that I work for is pretty heavy into copper, like one of the companies that I contract for. So,
oh, are they
copper mining? Yeah, I mean they do copper and steel making coal, so they're both
super high demand?
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like I don't know if that's a surprise to anyone that copper is going to go up. Mining companies are tough to invest in. Like I even work in the mining industry, and I don't know how to predict what they're doing, and like I know what technologies they're using and stuff like that, but maybe I should look into investing in that industry a little bit more. I feel like I just try to invest in things that I know, and mining is tough because you're just pulling stuff out of the ground and then trying to sell it, and then it depends on what the market price for that stuff is.
Right.
I guess if you think the market price of copper is going to go up, and you know that you're a company that has access to a lot of copper, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always tricky too because they're operating all over the world. Sometimes the governments want a bigger cut once they start producing. They always have cost inflation or cost overruns on the projects.
It's a very regulated industry. There's a lot of impacts of technology, like automation is heavily impacting the mining industry right now. I think that's a good thing for profitability. Like they're basically any projects that don't have a return within 1 year, they're not doing because there's so many opportunities for automation that they're having a hard time choosing which ones to take on. And they're like, okay, well, let's take the low-hanging fruit right now. And there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in terms of automation and mining. Like you can lower costs like crazy.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting area to keep an eye on. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other stuff you were watching this week that kind of caught your eye?
Yeah, well, I made a video about it yesterday, but Dogecoin was up.
Yeah, what's going on with Dogecoin?
20x or something. It was at 6 cents a few days ago, and yesterday was trading at over 45 cents US. It caught more tweets from Elon Musk. Like Dogecoin is interesting because it's like counter culture. Like if Bitcoin was designed as like to be counterculture to like traditional fiat currency, Dogecoin was like, well, here, let's make a cryptocurrency that's so ridiculous that no one would ever possibly use it. It's like an inflationary cryptocurrency. So it like inflationary means that there's infinite supply, basically, like just more and more supply comes onto the market. So it's not rare, so to speak. And it was designed as a joke. And I think that's why it's so interesting, because people love things that are kind of supposed to be a joke. It's kind of like GameStop, like it's this company that was never going to do anything in the real world. And they're just like, well, let's pump a bunch of money into it and make it go to the moon. And it's working with Dogecoin. Like, I mean, it's been on a huge tear. I just put some money into it on a lull because I saw Elon tweeting about it a couple months ago, and I was like, this is going to do something.
Yeah, he is just such a pole, right? People will do it just for sake of doing it.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Is it worth just like trying to mine a little bit of Dogecoin just to have it just in case, you know? Or some of these other kind of like smaller market cap ones? Because just think like if you were early in on like Ethereum not that long ago.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's kind of like buying penny stocks. Like it's incredibly risky. Like any money that you don't want to disappear, don't put into it. So if you're mining it, then you're just using.
That's what I was thinking of mining.
Yeah,
because you could just, hey, I'm gonna mine Doge for 3 months, mine whatever for another 3 months, and just have it just as a like an upside call option more than anything.
I know, like that's kind of what I do. Like I bought a token recently called OMI, and it's from this company called EcoMe, and they have some deals with companies in the U.S. like big names, like I think like Warner Brothers and stuff, to make NFTs, and out of some of their famous movie characters and different things like that. So I think that there's an opportunity there. It's an altcoin, and it's not really traded in a lot of places. Like I had to do quite a bit of research to figure out how to get a hold of it. So I feel like if that starts getting traded, it might see a spike. Surprisingly, like NFTs, I haven't seen anything in the news about an NFT in like the last 2 weeks. So maybe the hype is dying down a bit now. Yeah, you can always be sure that as soon as once something hits peak media, you can be sure that a few weeks later it's going to see a dip, right? Like every time people talk about Dogecoin or they talk about NFTs or they talk about whatever, GameStop in the media, like as soon as you start seeing like every single day stuff going on like MSNBC and like Fox Business and stuff like that about those things, you can be sure a few days later it's gonna tank, because everyone's like, once you get tired of it, once it gets out of the news cycle, it's gone, and then
it loses that novelty kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's interesting though. I'll have to read up on the Dogecoin. I want to get some mining going so I can just like participate without putting actual dollars into it.
Yeah, it's like I only ever put like profits into these altcoins, like stuff that I
you don't care if you lose it. It's more for fun.
I don't care if I lose it.
Yeah.
Like if you're putting, like, please, for the love of God, do not put your life savings into Dogecoin.
Or any like real amount of money that would like hurt you to lose.
Yeah, anything that you're not actually willing to have go to zero, do not put it in.
Yeah.
Because it could so easily go to zero. Like there's absolutely nothing holding Dogecoin up except like absolute like fervor.
Elon's tweets.
Elon's tweets. It's actually now it got to the 5th largest cryptocurrency in the world. It got to a $50 billion market cap. So,
that's insane.
Just like,
yeah, it's like, ask yourself, how much would you be willing to put in a game of roulette this weekend? And that's the max amount you should put into Dogecoin.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, I don't like gambling at all.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm kind of hoping that, I don't feel like I have somewhat of an addictive personality, so I have to be careful around that kind of stuff, because I just don't want to,
get too into it.
So just be careful with that. If you have it, make sure you have a strategy and you stick to it. I'm not ever buying any more Dogecoin unless something massively changes, but
it's kind of fun though.
Yeah, it's fun to have. It was fun to open up my Binance app and be like, holy crap, I got two grand US in there now. And I only put $300. I put 300 Canadian in, and then that was like 2 months ago, and then all of a sudden it just spiked like massively.
That's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. That's fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So are you up to speed on what's going on with Clover Health? That's the Chamath SPAC, eh? Isn't that the
Yeah,
Chamos SPAC that?
it's one of the Chamos SPACs, and there is 144% short interest apparently, and that's just like it's not actually 144% of the outstanding shares are shorted. It's just 144% of the amount of shares that are traded. So I don't know if it's as bad as what GameStop was, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was that short report, so probably some firms jumped on that bandwagon, kind of disputing some of the companies.
I picked up some because I missed GameStop, and I keep doing these like FOMO trades, and it's really stupid. Like I don't want to do this anymore. I gotta.
But
like,
Clover was up 20% Friday. Were you in on that?
Yeah, I was in on that. I bought it on Thursday, so I made a bit on Friday.
Hey, your FOMO trades are working.
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right on them, but like long term, like it can't keep being successful. I gotta be cautious, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think with a lot of these companies, like people are underestimating the risk they're adding to their portfolio with them. But again, if you're just kind of playing with that, 5 or 10% of your portfolio, that's your spec money, kind of fun money. There's nothing wrong to kind of jump in and out and do some day trading kind of thing.
Yeah, well, like I guess my biggest suggestion would be to please just make this like a very small percentage of your portfolio, because it's just like adding huge amounts of risk, and the upside is very minimal in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like all the SPACs are kind of taking a pretty good whacking lately. So who knows? Maybe that bubble's kind of popping.
Long term, yeah. A lot of people say the bubble's popping. Like I think this could be an opportunity to look at those SPACs and see, okay, which ones are actually going to be profitable businesses in the long run, and try to buy into those at this time, because like all the SPACs are dropping, but I'm sure some of them are actually going to be good companies. So if you can pick the ones that are like profitable, going to make money, then you might actually have an opportunity to get into a SPAC at a discount right now.
Oh yeah, there's some good ones out there, especially the ones you can buy. The ones like if you like the company that they did a deal for, it's a little sketchy. Like the pre-deal SPACs, you got to really trust the manager.
Yeah,
even like
Chamath. I don't know. I thought he was an interesting character, but like the more I hear him talk, the less I'm convinced that I really.
Yeah, me too. I was on the Chamath bandwagon hard, but lately I haven't been that happy with him. Just some of his moves I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
But
well, like, why did he sell out of Virgin? Like, I don't know. Like, that's one of the companies that I could get on board with. Like, I want to go to space, man. Like that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
He took a lot of heat for that one.
Yeah.
Because he sold out and the shares have been really weak, I think, ever since. But I think his justification was he wanted to deploy the capital elsewhere. But I mean,
yeah, well, that just means that he doesn't like it.
Yeah, he obviously doesn't like the company anymore. What else does that
mean? That's like, I don't like I want to deploy the capital elsewhere. That's a good way of saying, I don't like the company. My money is not good invested there. Which, I mean, like, fine, if it's a crappy company and they're not going to do it, I guess. But come on, like, what other companies are out there being like, oh, we're going to do space tourism and you're going to pay $50,000 and we'll take you to space?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. I believe in Virgin Galactic long term, I think.
Yeah.
Do I own it? No, but I also my portfolio is pretty boring. So
yeah. Well, I really want to get. I heard SpaceX might go public in the next year or so, because they just raised I think it was like $1 billion or something like that on a private raise, and it's like some of the bigger companies getting in, and those guys, they're always looking for a quick exit. So I would imagine that means that they're close-ish to going public, and I think SpaceX could just print tendies like they're gonna be worth $1 trillion
Oh,
in not too long.
I would
think
buy
right
that
now
no matter what,
they're
because
yeah.
they're doing things no one else is even close to doing. Like,
I just ordered Starlink for my parents because they have a place that they're building out in a Soyuz, and there's no
oh,
good internet
nice.
out there. And
That's awesome.
they're building like they're building the house now. They're actually building the house in Saskatoon. So they're building 2 houses on the property. The first one is like a portable house, like
Mhm.
kind of like a tiny home. They're building that in Saskatoon right now because that's where they're staying, and then they're going to move that out to a Soyuz when it's ready, and then they're going to live in that house while they build their bigger house that they're going to live in permanently because they like doing that kind of stuff.
But there's
So
like no internet out there, hey?
yeah, there's no internet out there. Like I think the best you can get is like crappy like WiMAX
Satellite,
kind of
old school.
yeah, old school
Yeah.
satellite, which is crap. And I just ordered Starlink for them. It's like minimum like 100 megabits per second, like low latency. Like it's amazing. Like it's better than what most people can get for like their home broadband, and
Yeah.
it's literally going to be available all over the world.
Yeah, no, it's unreal. My parents live in like a small town, and like their internet there is so slow. And I think my dad's like debating if he should just get Starlink.
The pricing's not that bad either. It's $100 a month, which is like pretty comparable to what you would pay for broadband.
Yeah, like you pay a bit of a premium, but I heard they're taking a loss on the dishes. Did you hear about that? Could be wrong. Like I heard
Yeah,
the dish you get is actually pretty like sophisticated. And
yeah, it's all automated. Like it actually like will move itself and orient itself at the satellite because the way that it works, right? Like this is not your typical satellite internet because like typical like GPS and internet satellites are like geostationary, so they're at a really far high orbit. But the problem with that is you can't get a lot of bandwidth because they're so far away. They're like 20,000 kilometers away.
right.
And these Starlink satellites, they're in low Earth orbit, and there's a ton of them. So the dish has to like constantly move to follow the satellites and to make sure that it has the best connection. So it's like it's fully automated and motorized, and it has to be able to position itself. Like it's basically a smartphone hardware inside with a satellite dish attached because it has to do all these calculations and stuff to figure out where everything is and point at it. So yeah, I can see that they'd be selling them at a loss, but that's gonna be a massive business in my opinion. Like,
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna help cash flow the rest of SpaceX.
yeah, that's gonna pay for Elon Musk's ticket to Mars, I think.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I'd be so excited about that one. I would just get it just to have it, like to have the SpaceX just sitting in your broker account. You get their annual reports.
I've been trying so hard to get in on that because like there's private
placements.
There's private placements that you can get in at SpaceX, and I've been looking, and the only thing I need is a U.S. social insurance, social security number is what they call it in the U.S.
Right.
So if I was like a permanent resident or something like that, but there's no way to get in as a Canadian, unfortunately, unless if anyone knows out there listening how I can get in on SpaceX as a private investor, I would love that. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we'll probably have to wait for IPO day, but it's all good.
Yeah. When they go public, getting in on it, I don't care if it's overpriced. I don't care. I'm buying because I think it'll be worth it in the long run. Like apparently their valuation was only 80 billion. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of people out there who think that they could be $1 trillion company in not too long. Like just Starlink alone could be $1 trillion company by itself. And I think that's easily plausible. Like they could take out like every internet provider. I think like, I don't know, you don't have to, like especially in rural areas, like you don't have to have all that infrastructure.
Yeah, like I don't know if it makes sense in like big cities, but like they could for sure scoop up like every rural person.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
like a huge market. I mean, I'm not like poo-pooing it, but I don't really see it like making sense in the cities just because like nowadays you can get a fiber connection direct in your house and it's pretty cheap internet.
yeah,
Um,
that's true.
that's the only
Yeah,
reason I don't think they'll touch cities. And then like if you're in a condo, you can't really, you could put it on your balcony, I guess it might work, might not. But
I think over time also they're gonna do mobile, so like you could have phone coverage like literally anywhere on the globe
yeah,
and have internet access. I think that would be really cool. And the other thing that people aren't talking about as much, like maybe they are, but I haven't heard it, is that every Tesla, I bet, in the next year or two will probably have Starlink built into it. So, um, right now they're using cellular networks, so they don't want to use up a lot of bandwidth because they probably have to pay those cell companies a lot of money. But I think that having Starlink internet at like 100, 200 megabits per second in your Tesla, that is going to allow them to improve autonomy so much faster because right now they really have to think about what data they're sending back to headquarters to analyze. But if you have Starlink on board and they're basically covered with the bandwidth, they don't have to. It doesn't cost them anything. They can just be pumping data back from those cars constantly and be getting so much more information.
yeah, send every data point from every sensor in every Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome stuff. Super
It
exciting.
just seems like everything that Tesla's doing, like everything that Elon Musk is doing is going to help Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess like just to summarize, where are you at on Tesla shares? You're still are you
Yeah,
bullish at their
I'm
current price?
super, yeah. Well, yeah, no, I'm bullish at their current price. I'm not buying right now. Like
Yeah, you have your
I
position, right?
I have my position. I bought in quite a bit. Like it's over 10% of my portfolio right now. I think it's like maybe 12% of my overall portfolio is in Tesla stocks. So
Yeah.
I mean, some people are like 100% Tesla, which I think is, I mean, it's awesome. I guess they're a great company and they're doing a lot of stuff, but that's a little risky.
Yeah, for sure. I think it looks really nice in that like when it was in the 600s there.
Yeah, if it goes back down, like if it gets hit again and it goes below 700 and then it goes, even if it goes below 600, like below 700 I would say like I'm like a buy light, and below 600 I'd be a buy heavy for sure.
Right. Yeah,
But yeah,
that's really good.
right now I'm just kind of
good to
letting
know.
it ride. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
Yeah, did you see the Boring Company Los Angeles tunnel?
No, I've seen some headlines.
Or sorry, not
What's
Los
going on there?
Angeles, Las Vegas.
Oh, Las Vegas one.
Yeah, let me.
Is it going good or is it just?
Yeah, well, I mean, people are hating on it, but I think it's like a huge thing for Tesla and for, obviously for the Boring Company. But let's see. See if we can get a.
Because the tunnel's working, right? You can drive. Can you drive your Tesla through it now? Skip some traffic or?
Yeah. Let's see if they have it. I think they just have like their own Teslas. Like I don't think you can actually take your car on
Do it
there,
yourself.
as far as I know. Yeah, they just have a bunch of cars that are going through it all the time. Let's do that. Speed this up a little bit. Yeah, like people are saying it's underwhelming, but I think it's pretty cool, man. Like it costs $50 million to build this tunnel. Obviously the cars aren't going super fast yet, but like it's step one, right? Like they gotta you gotta do step one first before you can get to like the end vision, which is like the cars racing through at 200 kilometers an hour, blah blah blah. I think this will be a good way for Tesla to like test their autonomy systems. And I think it's awesome that they're doing it in Vegas because all the casinos now want a tunnel to their casino so that people would can get access to it. So I think they've got a whole bunch of new contracts, right? So
because the idea is to have tunnels going all over, and then you skip the traffic lights. You just, if you want to go to a really popular area, you would just take
people
like
are saying
the exit and then just take the tunnel.
Exactly. And people are saying that it's like you have to drive slow in there, but like if you don't have to stop at any traffic lights, you just get to keep going. You basically go directly there, like it's straight line path to wherever you want to go. Like it doesn't matter if you're only traveling 30 miles an hour, you'll still get there twice as fast as somebody who has to go through all the traffic and take a roundabout way of getting there. So
yeah, less stress too. You could autopilot that.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Like right now, you could do it.
Yeah, that would work on autopilot because it's got the lines, right? So it would follow those lines, no challenges at all. And I think in the future it could go faster and faster. So I think no reason to think that this is not gonna help the company. And
I think the big thing too is he's really lowered the cost of tunneling.
Yeah. Well, they're saying this costs $50 million, but like people are like, oh, that's so expensive. But like, how much would it have cost if it was a traditional tunneling company? Like, it probably would have cost 500 million or something. Like, they probably lowered it by a ridiculous amount.
Look at any cities like transit, like like train tunnels. It's like billions to do like basic tunnels.
Yeah, like they probably. I'll just get out of this now, but to be honest with you, like nobody's talking about how much money they saved doing this compared to if they had just dug a tunnel the traditional way, but I'm sure that it was a massive amount of money saved, and I'm just disappointed that people don't talk about that more, or they don't really understand like what's going on here. They're just like, oh, why don't they just build a transit system? Well, it's not about that. It's about the reducing the cost of digging tunnels, and
or maybe you could lower the cost of boring transit train tunnels.
Yeah, plus like transit trains in these times, like who wants to be on a train packed with people when you're supposed to be socially distanced and wearing masks and stuff? Like,
yeah, trains are empty.
Yeah.
Trains are empty for sure. I don't know. I don't really want to go on a train right now.
No, me either. I've never liked trains because for me it's like it's so inefficient because you have to get to the train station, then you have to get out, and then you have to walk over and get on the train. Then the train goes somewhere sort of nearby where you want to go. Then you have to go out and walk to where you want to go. Like, it's just so much more efficient if you're just like you have one thing that you're in and you get from A to B. I don't know. It just, for me, it's just like all the like stops, getting out, changing, and then going somewhere else is just annoying.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you there.
I mean, I understand the perspective that you want to move a lot of people fast, that trains are a good way of doing that, but I think Elon is saying this could also be a good way of doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the way that this is going to work, I think they're saying like 1,800 people an hour or something like that, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's a decent rate.
Yeah, and it'll just get better. It'll take some time. I think they're onto something.
Yeah, for sure. I think you got to keep watching it. You can't like be so nitpicky at every little step, but it's hard to do when you're like stuck here in 2021 and you can't just like jump forward to 2025 and see what it's actually going to be like, right?
Yeah, or even maybe it takes to 2030 or 35, but
yeah,
it could be a game changer if it gets there.
Yeah, I think it could definitely be a game changer. Speaking of game changers, some bad news on full self-driving came from Elon a couple days ago. Very disappointed. Did you hear about it?
No. Enlighten me.
Delaying. So they're supposed to put a button in everybody's car that they can opt into the full self-driving beta.
Mhm.
And like, because they have that full self-driving beta running on about 1,000, maybe 2,000 cars in the US right now.
Right.
And Elon had tweeted a couple months ago that they were just going to add a button to let everybody opt in if they wanted and use that. And now he's like, oh, the button might. He said it was going to come in April, and now he's like, oh, it's at least a month away, maybe 2. So, he just pushed it out another 2 months. It just seems like
it'll get there.
Yeah, they're just his predictions are bold, and then people get mad when they don't come true, and then sometimes they beat expectations, but sometimes they fall dramatically short. And I think that's just the reality of pushing for things that nobody's ever done before. Like predicting how long it's going to take is like, how do you do it?
Personally, I think his strategy is to like just go at it super aggressive, and he makes those predictions, but I think it's just to like motivate and push his team and himself, he probably knows he's not going to get it, but he's like, oh, it'll be ready in 6 months, and he's like, let's go as hard as we can.
Yeah, that's how anyone with ambition works at stuff, right? Like, you're shooting for something incredibly ambitious, and you know that you might not get there, but it doesn't matter, like, because if you get halfway there, it's still going to be way better than things are today, right? So even if you don't accomplish everything that you set out to do at the time you set out to do it, he's still doing incredible things. So
yeah, think about it. We're talking about full self-driving mode, right?
Yeah, like how long? Like, I think since the 50s or 40s, people have been talking about self-driving cars. Like, who actually has done something to get a self-driving car in the hands of a consumer other than Elon Musk? Like, I can't think of any company that's actually released anything to the public that even remotely resembles a self-driving car besides Tesla.
Oh yeah. And yeah, it could probably do it. Well, it can do it now. It's just they got to be really careful.
He calls it the March of Nines, right? Because like right now it's probably like 99.99%, but they need to get it to like 99.9999999% so that it basically has 0 accidents, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because even at like 99.99%, that's still like 1 accident every, however many miles, and that it just has to be way safer than human drivers to be. Because like they're gonna get so much bad publicity as soon as one thing goes wrong, so they're just trying to get it as safe as possible, which I get. Like, I mean, I don't care. I'd use it right now, and I'd be totally happy to take the risk. And because I mean, you can still take control if you need to. It's not like the car's gonna just.
Let's be honest. The human driver bar is pretty low. Like,
I know, like, we're awful at driving. Like, there's so many deaths because of human error every year.
And people speed and reckless, road rage.
Yeah. Tesla Autopilot Safety chart. Let me pull this up here because they actually have their vehicle safety report. And let's see if I can find 2021.
Are you excited about any other EVs that have come out? Like, I know that Volkswagen SUV just came out, but I heard kind of neutral reviews on it.
It's kind of meh. Okay, here, I'm going to share my screen. Just show you this for quick, and then we'll talk about the other EVs that are out there.
Sure.
Okay. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
So this is their Autopilot Safety. So millions of miles between accidents, right? So this is the average for U.S. drivers. So it's about 0.5 million miles between accidents. So every 500,000 miles, somebody gets into an accident in a regular car. In a Tesla with autopilot off, it's about at this point, it's about every 1 million miles.
And that's because all their like safety features and
sensors. Well, actually, no, because that's with all their active safety features off. So That's just because Teslas are easier to drive and more maneuverable, I think.
Okay.
This is with Tesla Autopilot off, but active safety features on, and they're almost double. So this is 4 times more safe compared to just a regular car. You're looking at 1 accident every 2 million miles. And then here's with Autopilot on, they're almost doubling it again at every 3.5 million miles. So like Autopilot is already safer than a human driver at this point.
Yeah, no, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're just trying to get those edge cases out of the way where like something super weird happens and Autopilot doesn't know what to do with it. Like,
yeah, and they don't want to be in the news.
Yeah. I saw this example where a guy was driving down the freeway and there was a stop sign on a poster, like on a billboard, and the Tesla started to slow down to stop for a stop sign. So they don't want stuff like that to happen. So
yeah,
they're just trying to get every possible edge case out of the way so that they don't get in trouble. Because if they get in trouble, then that it's gonna be harder for them. So I guess they're
it slows everything down. Yeah.
Okay, so other EV companies. Here's the thing. Yeah, have you seen the Mercedes EQS?
No, I've not seen that one.
That's the new Mercedes EV. I think I don't know if they've revealed the body, but like I've seen a couple reviews online of like the interior and like it driving around and stuff. Like you can't actually buy it, but I don't know, like it's slower than a Model S. Yeah, like it has massaging seats. That's great. It has like screens for everyone in the car, which is good. Like it's more luxurious than a Tesla, which is, like Tesla's never been the most luxurious car. Like if you want a super luxury car, get a Rolls Royce.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of self-driving, I haven't heard anything like if it has any self-driving capability. It has good range. I think it like is it's actually more efficient than the Model S, which is impressive if they're actually doing that, and they have some cool battery tech in it. I think the Model S Plaid Plus is going to beat it in terms of range. It's not really that fast. Let me look it up here. Benz EQS. So yeah, here's the EQS, and it's more efficient. It's supposedly the most efficient EV out there, and they've actually released the body now. So I mean, it looks okay. I don't know. What do you think of how that looks?
A little boring.
It's kind of meh. Like it just looks like a car.
Yeah, it looks like a Mercedes. I mean, it's nice, but I mean, I would go for a Tesla still. We always hear like Tesla's battery tech is like years and years ahead of everyone. Is that still the case, you think?
Yeah, well, I think it is. Like with especially with their new cells, like their 4680 cells, like the larger ones that they're making for the Cybertruck and for the Model S Plaid Plus and for the Roadster.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones are like massively ahead, but I think their current cell technology, I think people are starting to catch up. But like the volume production, like how many of these cars is Mercedes actually going to produce? Like are they going to sell this car in a higher volume than Tesla? I don't know.
Yeah.
So they've got 110 hour pack. The Tesla pack right now is like I think about 108 or something like that. So they're pretty close in terms of that.
And Tesla has the huge advantage with their charging network too, right? Because these would like in the US, they'd have to use that Electrify America grid, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard some things about that too. Like I keep hearing rumors that Tesla might open up their charging network. I don't know. I have, maybe this is just me. I have no excitement for any other EV makers. Like I own CCIV, which is Lucid. Just because like American company, they might, there's always two players in a space in America. Like no matter what it is, there's going to be two companies that are doing it. I own some Neo stock, which is a Chinese Tesla competitor. They have some interesting tech, but like to be honest, like I'm not excited about either of those companies at all. Like what Tesla's doing, I can't wait for their new stuff to come out. Like I honestly can't wait for the Cybertruck. I'm so excited for the Cybertruck.
Yeah, I want to see the Semi personally. I think the Semi is unreal. Like, can't you like stand up in it? Like they just think outside the box, and we've been doing things the same way for so long. I don't know. I think that's gonna be super awesome.
Yeah, the Semi is gonna be awesome for it's going to change the transportation industry. The electric component is important, but the autonomy is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because there's going to be a lot of jobs affected by that.
Yeah. Do you, have you heard Cathie Wood talk about how she thinks like autonomous and electric semi trucks is going to disrupt the rails even?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't it? Like, the rails have already had challenges with, being cheaper. Because here's the thing, right? The rail companies in the States, at least, are private, mostly, except for Amtrak. But the roads are all publicly funded, and so they get a huge kind of benefit of having the roads built for them. So if you're a semi operator, like you don't have to pay for any of the road maintenance. If you're, I don't know, there's got to be some new taxes and stuff that come into play because all your taxes right now for funding roads are based on like fuel, right? And they're not charging any levies on electricity, as far as I know, that go into road development. So you got to look out for like restructuring. But I mean, if you have a big, like, think about it this way. If you're a semi company, you could have a big solar and wind farm right beside one of your headquarters, and you could just, charge, you could have that at any station where you have to charge, and you could, well, you probably want to have like access to other electricity too, but I think there's going to be a way that you keep, as long as you can keep energy prices down, like, electric semis are going to be, it's going to be unbelievable.
Right. Like they might generate power just to kind of like have like a natural business hedge against their charging costs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I think the autonomy part is bigger in my opinion. Like they're changing from one energy source to another, like that's cool, and it's really great and good for the environment, good for the planet and everything like that. But from a business perspective, I think the autonomy is the real game changer because you're literally removing the most expensive part of transporting goods around, which is the person sitting behind the wheel.
Right.
So, I mean, both for jobs and for buying stuff, like it's going to be great for consumers because things are going to be really cheap to move. Like, think about how cheap it is to get free delivery with Amazon right now. It's just, I think the price of things is gonna, like,
it'll be next level.
Even with all these upward inflation pressures, autonomous trucking, I think, is gonna help push down the prices of moving goods and services, or moving goods around, like food and technology, anything that you need to get from point A to point B.
For sure. That's awesome.
Because that's like, I think it's about 60 to 70% of your costs in transportation are your driver. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to chat about today?
I don't know. Do you have any what's your buy heavy? Like if you had to pick one stock for this week to buy, what would it be?
Let's see. Well, I bought some Alphabet this week.
Oh yeah,
So,
why is that?
I feel like large cap tech is ready to take off here. I just think it's been lagging the market a little bit. We've seen some action recently in it, but I don't know. When I look at Alphabet, I think, like, how are they not a $2 trillion company already? You know, that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay,
I like Amazon.
Perspective. Yeah.
I like Amazon as well. Like when, I don't know if you read the Jeff Bezos letter he put out this week. I think it's his last one because he's stepping down. But they were talking about how much Prime members spend and how many they've added, and how people like when people go onto Amazon, they like buy something within like a minute on average. Like it's just insane. And when you read those stats, you're like, this thing still has so much legs to go. And then my third one I really like right now is Salesforce. It's been a laggard, but I think they have such a good moat around the CRM business, and they're adding some good pieces. I think you'll see some strong results out of them, and I think it's pretty cheap at current levels. So those are kind of the three I'm excited about. I know they're kind of more boring. Like no one cares about those companies. They'll want they're like, what? You're not, no 3D printing, no genomics, no crypto. But that's kind of the stuff I was looking at this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like if you can get into companies that are doing a really good job and that people aren't really talking about, like that's probably a good thing, because like if you're just investing always in what everyone's talking about, then I think you're already too late, because
yeah, exactly.
They've already pumped up the stock's value and it's going to be overvalued. Like sure, it might be a good long-term play, but if everybody's talking about something, like that's a sure sign that you're not the first person in. And I think, especially with Salesforce, like it's something that not a lot of people talk about. I don't hear about it talked about a whole lot. I've used Salesforce a whole lot, and I think it's a great play in the B2B space. I don't know how many, end users are familiar with it, but it's, if their fundamentals are sound and they could have growth, I think that's a good opportunity to get into. I think right now you want to avoid the value trap, so the companies that aren't going to see growth. But if you think that, there's those big names like Google and Amazon and Salesforce, like those companies are printing cash right now, and I think they could continue to do that in the future. So even if inflation ticks off, it's not like they have a huge amount of debt that they're going to have to repay or anything like that. So yeah, I would tend to agree with those picks as well. Those seem like good opportunities for right now.
Yeah, one last thing on Salesforce, like it's done pretty well during the pandemic, but you could argue it's a reopening play too. Like when business activity picks up, it's going to pick up for Salesforce. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, do they have a lot of clients in like the travel and restaurant industries, or like I don't know what their target market is for companies? Like I know they're like
I mean they're in every industry, so for sure if there's an uptick in some of those hard hit areas, I think that's where they would see the uptick as well.
They're positioned to take advantage of it.
Yeah,
that's a good one to look at. So anyone watching this video, take a look at Salesforce. Obviously do your own research, but for myself, there's a couple companies that I want to do a bit more research into. I'm going to do a deep dive into Coinbase this week just to find out like what I think the actual price target should be, and if what I bought in at is actually going to be like, I think it's a long-term hold, but I need to find out what their growth potential is.
Yeah, you want to run the numbers.
Yeah, I got to run the numbers. I think right now is a FOMO trade, and I just wanted to get in on it because I think it's going to be a good long-term play, but I need to find out if that's actually mathematically true.
That sounds great. I'll probably help you out on that one.
Sounds good. I could use your help. Yeah, well, I really appreciate you joining me here, and hopefully this new platform that we're using works out, and able to get this out to people. If you enjoyed the podcast, please let us know, and hopefully we can do this again. Let us know if there's any topics that you're interested in hearing about, and yeah, we'll look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Rosario. It's fun talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Cheers, John. Have a good one.